Welcome everyone to the Future of Global Work podcast. I'm your host Naomi van Noort.
And I'm your co-host Alina Markova.
Today we are joined by Meerte van der Pol, Kangye Yao, Adri Asmi, and Imke van der Poel, who have all researched one organizational structure, visited one co-working space, and we will discuss about the findings here with you guys. We were formed as a group because of a shared interest in personal development.
We make strict rules and set deadlines for our work to be finished. Furthermore, we encourage creative ideas and we treat each other in a professional way.
It's March 27th, 2019. We are in Global Work Group 3 with course code JCB GLOWWORK.2V18, and I advise you to relax, sit back, grab a cup of tea, and enjoy today's podcast. So the first part, we will discuss the key characteristics of each organizational structure. Each one of us researched one organizational structure. What did you research, Yao?
Yeah, I'm Yao, and my company is Accenture, and Accenture is a company which discovered how to harness distribution to drive new value for the organizations by extensive research and subjective matter experts, and help them to put that knowledge into actions at the companies in details. And my interview is a senior consultation in Accenture, which is for global management consulting and professional service for Malaysia country branch. This company structure is more like a hierarchical organization. There are clear hierarchies and departments in her company. People usually only communicate with his or her immediate supervisor and subordinate for work.
Okay, thank you. Can you also tell us something about the leadership within the hierarchical organizational structure?
Yeah, well, since most of their responsibility is to talk with their own immediate and supervisor and the colleagues beside them, and they have a very wide branch of the world, so they usually don't have much impression about their leadership. It's beyond of their reach, and the leadership is usually will be known just on the internal magazines.
Okay, thank you. I noticed that it's very different from the type of organization Alina has researched. Alina, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So I investigated two organizations to get a clear vision on how flat organizations function within different cultures. The first organization I investigated is called Gumroad. It is based in Silicon Valley. Gumroad is an organization that helps creators to sell their digital products so they can fully focus on creating. I interviewed Sail Lavingia, who is the CEO of the organization. The structure of the organization is flat, and as Jacob Morgan says in his book, there are no job titles, no managers, no executives in an organization with flat organizational style. Every employee is seen as equal in such an organization. Employees can see projects being worked on and decide themselves what project they want to join. So the whole structure depends on commitments of the independent colleagues, good communication and regulations within such groups. Here you can hear a fragment of how Gumroad applies flat organizational structure in practice.
Everyone is sort of in charge of what they want to be doing. And so instead of having this sort of top-down approach where I'm telling everybody, like, this is what everyone's doing this week or this month, I set, like, high-level priorities for the company. But I allow for quite a lot of flexibility in which someone can tell me or tell the company, like, hey, I think this blank, whatever it is really important to me. I want to work on that. And it's sort of their job to get the resources that they need, to get, what they want done. They're the leader.
Another organization I investigated was Yandex. It's a Russian search engine company. They try to apply a flat organizational approach. However, since it's already a very huge company with a great legacy, it can be fully flat. I interviewed Alexandra Lidnyova, who is a stagiaire from the event department of Yandex.
Yes, that's interesting. If I understand correctly, a flat organization still has a form of management and leadership. So I went to this company called Hike One, which is a digital product designing company. Katrien Meidam, who I interviewed, works as a strategist. In a holacratic company, they work in circle teams. There is one overarching circle where all the high-level decisions are made, but there are also smaller circles such as HR, PR, communication, sales, etc. So I think the difference in leadership between a flat and a holacratic organization is that there is no leader in a holacratic organization, while the flat organization still is owned by management. So Katrien explained it very well.
The founders, they signed a contract that said, from now on, this is not our company anymore, but it's the company of everyone.
This holacratic structure is a new evolving organizational structure which correlates with Hike One's focus on innovation through their culture.
Thank you, Mirte. Alina, how is the culture in the organizations that you have researched?
So, as I mentioned before, I interviewed 2 different companies, one Russian and one American. I noticed that in the Russian company Yandex, people focus more on group norms. They make decisions more as a group, but in the American company Gumroad, people do it more for themselves and by themselves. Here you can hear a fragment from the interview where Sahil explains the relationship with within the organization. Conversations only business-wise, or is it also okay to become more friends with their co-workers?
Actually, right now it's mostly business.
Okay.
It's mostly. I think the reason is because we're distributed and remote. It's just efficiency.
Yeah, sure.
People are in general, trying to just, they're here to work on the product, and I think most people have better things to do, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a kid or whatever, that's more important to you. I'm not going to pretend that Gumroad is more important to you than your child. So it's actually not something that I even encourage. I totally actually don't mind at all if someone works on Gumroad in a very sort of professional, sort of distant way. That's very acceptable to me, actually.
Okay. According to the Schwartz cultural values, this falls into intercultural autonomy. Whether when I talked to Alexandra, she explained that it is seen as an important aspect to encourage friendship, a relationship within the organization, which falls in the category of embeddedness according to the cultural values of Schwartz. Furthermore, in Gumroad, individuals seek success through personal actions, since Sahil explained that if an employee wants to start a new project, he can, but he's the one responsible for all the resources, etc. Therefore, this falls in the category of mastery, according to Schwartz model. Whether in Yandex, Alexandra explained that individual actions are difficult to measure, and it is more often the case that the whole group gets rewarded instead of an individual, which falls in the category of harmony, according to Schwartz.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for you, Imke. Could you tell us something about the organizational structure you researched?
Yes, of course. Our organization is Flatterkey. The company I researched is LinkedIn. And for those who don't know, LinkedIn is a business and employment-oriented service that connects people and operates through mobile apps and websites. I interviewed the head of marketing solutions at LinkedIn Benelux. He's named Marcel Molenaar. The structure is a Flatterkey, and it's actually a combination between a hierarchy and a flat organization. So it has aspects of both structures.
Could you also explain the leadership and motivation within LinkedIn?
Yes, of course it has a CEO and a management, but how the leadership works in this organization is you have different teams of small groups, and every team has their own leader. And it's the job of this leader to motivate the people that they are leading. How employees stay motivated this way is if they want to learn something, all they have to do is ask. They have a lot of tools. There are plenty of opportunities to have trainings, workshops to do, and follow courses. Everything you want to learn, they very much encourage that. And coaching is a big part of that, which is mostly done by the leaders.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
What is the level in which a hierarchical organization motivates its employees, Yao?
For Accenture, it is quite beyond my expectation about how it encourages their employees. Well, as a global company, it provides the opportunity to achieve personal development. It has a very wide range of diversity based on their various of cultural background and working style in different countries. in terms of personal growth, provided if you are proactive enough for it. And they also motivated to the employees to learn from each other about academic and cultural perspective from your colleges. They also hold an internal campaign for last year. They had a campaign named Truly Human, which promoted employees to focus on the personal development and also organize balance with their company.
Okay, well, yeah, that's interesting because I also interviewed a hierarchical organization, namely Ortic Finance, which is a B2B company that provides technology and solutions for financial institutions across the world to help people manage the complexity of investment decision making. They have 4 business units, namely IP, which is investment performance, P&I, pensions and insurance, PCS, private client solutions, and REM, real estate management. They have approximately 250 employees, and I interviewed a marketing and communications intern there who is Romanian. Her name is Juliana Talmaciu, and she told me that during the interview that there is not much employee motivation from Ortic Finance to their employees. There is this bonus you can get when you reach all your goals within a year, and then you'll get in March, you'll get a 15% bonus on your salary. And they have sometimes some outings, but that depends on the department. So there's not really a motivation from the company to the employees that they have to work in a certain way, or like there's no explanation from them, like if you do this and this and this, like you can reach goals more effectively or you'll be happier within the company. There's not much of that. So that's also what she said.
Yeah, that's quite different because at Accenture the employees always think they have the challenge and the motivations to do their work. They feel like that if I do it well, maybe I can change to another branch in another country and also do this, but I can get the different knowledge from it and I can be more professional of it.
Yeah, that's at Ortic Finance. There's not much motivation for people to work harder or do work in a certain way. It's pretty much one for like everyone for themselves. There's not much like collaborate. There is collaboration, but it's always that the higher ups decide which ideas are the best.
Yeah.
So a bit different, but the same structure.
Yeah.
Okay, Adri, could you maybe explain something about co-working spaces? What are they?
Sure. Co-working spaces is actually a business service provision model that involves individuals working independently or collaboratively in a shared office space. So the company that I interviewed is Mindspace. It is a co-working space that again provides office-like facilities for freelancers, business startups, and independent researchers. They offer working space as in private offices, meeting room, lounges, and open space. And they also receive clients from their other franchise in different countries. And the minimum price of the office is 320 euros monthly. And also from there, I interviewed Anne Hardevel. She's one of the community managers that work in Mindspace. Her function is as community manager is to lead and observe the co-working space community by providing them their needs and arrange activities weekly or monthly. She guides their client as what they call them as users, and for her another upper role in the company, she reports back anything regarding the community to their senior community manager for improvement to all other franchise as well.
Okay, good. Could you also tell us something about the co-working space environment?
Okay, the environment there is more community-friendly environment involving exchange of information in every different job scopes. There, everyone has their own independency on their tasks, but in a certain aspects, they work as in community. Similar with Inca's organization, there's easy employer-employee relationship between the users who use the working space, except for the host. But they both do play important role in the formation of co-working space upon making related decisions, because they want to figure out together how can the host deliver the best to what the users want the best for their job.
Okay. What are other observations did you make within the co-working space?
Well, in co-working space, the work structure is more fluid and flexible on their work and also for the working hours. They don't do 9 to 5 as the other organization as explained, with the reason to enhance their own creativity based on their own working style. This applies for both hosts and their users at the MySpace. Another thing about MySpace I found interesting is they really blurred the line between work and home, because everyone has access to the building and utilities for 24/7 actually. This comes along with my favorite quote from Jacob Morgan. He said, in the future, companies that want to hire employees will need to create an environment where people want to work instead of need to work. And this concludes from my observation that co-working space is actually how the future work environment should be.
Yeah. Okay. How did these observations differ from the experiences others had?
Yeah, well, at LinkedIn, it's interesting because what Adrian just mentioned is that it's at the co-working space is very community-based, and some interesting observations about the place at LinkedIn as well is that it's very playful. At LinkedIn in Amsterdam, they have like 50 employees, but in the building they have swings, pool tables, a gym, and even like a seesaw. So it's very much based on team play, and it's a very creative environment, which I think is important because LinkedIn is a platform that is working in a constantly changing environment, and therefore they have to be very creative because they have to innovate and adapt all the time, which is also why they are very future oriented and task oriented rather than, for example, very strict on the 9 to 5 clock routine.
Yeah, I think it's quite the same for Hike One actually. They also have a very creative environment and lots of opportunity to be friendly with one another, and this gives them the opportunity to like be more creative and be more relaxed in their working sphere.
Okay, yeah, well, from what I've noticed is that for the company I have interviewed, it's very different. It's a very traditional and hierarchical company, actually, Arctic Finance. And the building in Rotterdam, they have 2 floors on the 16th and 17th floor of the building. And the view is phenomenal, but inside it's very much office-like. They have like the free desk, so everyone can sit where they want, but actually everyone always sits at like the desk they always sit, so there's not much movement actually, and there's a lot of meeting rooms which are just basically screens and tables and chairs, so very much traditional like, and people don't really meet each other on other departments if it's not for work. So when they meet each other and talk to each other, it's usually in the coffee room, and that's, I think, very different from like having swings and pool tables in an office where it's more friendly and more open to conversation besides work.
Well, since we are the same company structure, but I think we're quite different at the environment part. My employees, she is a direction is consulting management. She usually work 9 to 5. It's really normal, but they also need to rely on the work hour. I mean, like the client's culture, maybe they have the jet lag, so they quite have differences in working place. Maybe if the clients are only available at midnight, they will go to work for the midnight at home, and which is totally acceptable by their manager.
Okay.
Now we're going to discuss some of the pros and cons of every organizational structure. So to start with the flat organizational structure, I can say that I noticed that the organizations are very flexible. Decisions can often be made and carried out more quickly because of that there are few layers of communication. Furthermore, the communication is better since there are only a few levels, and there is very big shared organizational goal, and people are motivated to work there rather than they have to work there. Yeah.
I think that's very similar for the holacratic organization, where they also have a lot of freedom because it's also flat, like in a flat organization, and they don't even have a management above them where they have to get approval. So a huge pro of holacratic organization is that they basically can create all their ideas and don't need any approval from anyone, so it's very quick and fast.
That's very similar.
Well, I think again the hierarchical organization structure is the odd one out in all of these. I think pros are, well, what my interviewee mentioned was that within her department everyone is very friendly with each other, except for the head of department, because she's kind of like the one who kind of is also the odd one out, if I could say it like that. She's not really much liked by the other employees in the department, and yeah, that's what my interviewee mentioned a lot. But the pros are that there is very open communication between people in the department, and she likes going to the office. That she also likes that there's there's offices where she can sit down if she needs a quiet place, and that there's no fixed seating. The structure, there are some cons though. The hierarchical structure is an old structure, and it's kind of like an outdated way of operating where a few people at the top make decisions, really. So yeah, top down with little collaboration and communication. That's how Morgan says it in the book. That's basically how it goes at Ortec Finance. And you'll hear Juliana say something about that.
May I have different opinions? Yeah, because from my views, like they say that because the company is really big and the traditional structure is really better to manage these people, they will have a more organized working place. And the employees also can be really practical and professional at their own aspect, because they don't need to change their responsibilities and handle different situations from different fields.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Only at Ortec Finance there is not much, like from what I've heard from my interviewee, she is not really that positive about that kind of structure. So yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it also depends on the company itself.
Right, yeah, I think it depends on the
company.
I
think it also depends on the personality type.
Yeah,
because for example, also for the flat organization, that could be a big con for some people who are not that self-starting.
Okay. I think that's why a flatarchy organization is kind of the perfect combination between hierarchy and flat organization. I think it's nice to have some guidance and some leaderships, but in a flatarchy, you still have something to say even if you're not a leader. However, for LinkedIn in specific, they're still kind of big on titles, and that can cause people to become title driven rather than purpose driven when it comes to, for example, promotion.
Yeah, that's interesting, because at Hike One, a con that my interviewee Katrien mentioned is that there's no opportunity for them to get a promotion. So you cannot really grow inside the company. However, she also mentioned that something that's really interesting at a holocredit company is that you have the opportunity to create the company itself. You own it, so you're very motivated to make as much of an impact on it as you can.
Holocracy structure is really have a lot of pros in that, but then I identify one cons, which is I think for them the motivation comes from themselves. They don't have the guidance like what the hierarchical company has, because they set out their goals. But then for the holocratic, you have to figure out your own. You have to figure out how you can achieve, how motivation can drive you, and I think that's the obvious con. Yes. The only obvious con about this structure.
So it's basically you have to be very independent.
Yeah, independent.
Yeah, and very structured actually.
Yes, it's the same for the flat organization. For some people it's not suitable because some people need guidance and need to find that motivation that they don't have in their personality type.
Okay, so based on this, what would happen if a hierarchical organization adopted a flat organizational structure's behavior? What would work well and what wouldn't work well?
Well, I think a very significant benefit would be that the engagement of people would be higher if you apply a flat organizational structure to a hierarchical organizational structure. The problem with the old style management structure is that the companies are almost trying to communicate to the employees that they are doing them a favor by letting them work in their organization. The new employee is motivated and encouraged to do a lot of meaningful work to make progress, but because of that feeling of limitation employees have in a traditional hierarchical organization, people become discouraged. So I think that's the engagement would be significantly higher if a hierarchical organizational structure would apply a flat structure. What do you think, Yao?
Oh, well, for Central, I think if they try to accept the flatter organization, maybe the people will get more chances to improve themselves by their interests because they get more freedom. But I think it is a little bit risky for globalization to choose this one because it's really easy to lose control.
That's true.
The employees if everyone will take responsibility for the whole project and report it to their leader, and I think they also can result to the real confusion. They will kind of confused about what I should do exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And also, when I talked to Sahil Lavinja, I asked him whether he thinks that this structure would work in a big organization, and he said that he doesn't think so.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that it would be too chaotic.
Yeah, but it also can maybe reduce some hierarchy, really waste time and the reports by one and make it not very efficient.
Yeah, I have to say something about that as well, because in a hierarchical structure, I feel like because there's not that much innovation, like motivated or creativity. If you look at the paradox of creativity and control model of John Freeman and Jerome S. Engel, it's like there is some, like in the paradox, there is some difficulties where for example, the personal behavior structures like are predictable.
Well, it's kind of waste time to spend the time on the reports one by one and make it's not very efficient.
No, and that efficiency I have seen in organizational structure in Ortec Finance, because they really, like, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, creative ideas, innovative ideas, and they are basically all pushed away by higher ups, by management, because they think they know it better, they have better ideas. So, like what the paradox of creativity and control by John Freeman and Jerome S. Engel, it's like there is some like fixed structures and fixed job responsibilities, and that's how the communication and creativity is kind of like kept very small. And one of the solutions of this paradox is to build an organizational units, putting all the creative people together so that they can create new ideas, be innovative, and that managers are like separated and they can only give resources. So instead of like working really fast and creating ideas and creating bad ideas, basically, they give those people the space to actually brainstorm and like think about good ideas without management really interfering or saying that it is a bad idea from the start. So I think that's a good solution to implement into Ortec Finance. Yes.
Well, that's a great model to apply to your company. I've also applied a model to my company, the PwC. The PwC model looks at 4 possible worlds of work for 2030. Hike One is the perfect example of a company that would fit in the red world. Hike One develops and innovates products to make the life of the consumer easier. This is exactly what the red world focuses on. In the red world, innovation rules. In addition, the red world is all about giving people what they want, focusing on a user experience approach.
After hearing all this information about the organizational structures, I'm really curious to know how the hiring and firing process works in some of these structures.
Well, I can tell you something about that. In a flatarchy, of course, as I said before, they have aspects of both hierarchical and flat organizations. There is one manager that hires people, but the team can decide whether or not they think this is a good match for the team. However, if someone at LinkedIn underperforms, their manager first tries to do everything in their power to make that person learn how to do it right. They give trainings and everything before they consider firing them. And if that doesn't work, they look at different positions the person might be able to work in instead. Because coaching is key to being a good manager according to flatarchies and according to LinkedIn.
Well, for Accenture, they usually hire people very openly. They have the cooperation with the university. They will get the recommendation of the students who want to join this company, and they also accept the online application and the suggestion from their own HR management. And of course, the HR manager will decide which one to choose to stay in this company. And for the 5 people, they usually not 5 people directly. When people join this company, they will be assigned with the career counselor. The career counselor will always have the meeting with the employees and talk with them on the review session. Usually, the feedback on the review session that you will told that you are either below peer or not actually perform well. So they will give you suggest like if you want to resign or you want to change another way to promote yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Now we're going to move on to team's personal evaluation, and we're going to start with Naomi. Could you please introduce yourself?
I'm a fourth year creative business student who is hardworking, caring, and a team player with excellent communication skills. I completed an internship at Ordic Finance as a marketing and communications intern with a professional and ambitious vision required to work on the back end of the company's website with Sitecore, the website uniformity, SEO, and interfaced effectively and respectfully with others in internal and external communication. I took the PwC test where the green world was my world that they advised me to work in. It is a strong a workplace where there is a strong social conscience, a sense of environmental responsibility, and focus on diversity. I think that's correct because I do focus on diversity and I value it very much. I am also very environmental friendly, I would like to say, and that's why I think that it fits for me. I also did the working remotely quiz where it turned out that I am not a great fit for working remotely. That's, I think, also a good result because I do find it hard to really be structured by myself, and I stick to rules. So in office it is really likely to have rules and an assigned project.
What do you think are your strengths?
I think I'm a team player. I'm open-minded, concise, hardworking. I'm also patient and an excellent communication skills, and I'm also a good listener, which I think are fit for leadership as well as motivation. So I think in structure, I think I would be very fit for a leadership position, but also for a team player position.
Do you think that you would be fit to work abroad?
I think it would fit me to work abroad because I have lived abroad twice and I have learned so many things during my stay abroad. Things such as acceptance of other cultures, communication and independence. I'm a very curious person who's not afraid of a challenge, and I think that working abroad would be a challenge in some ways. However, I think because of how I can adapt to new environments and situations easily, that I would be able to live abroad.
Which organizational structure would you prefer working at?
My preferred type of organizational structure would be a flatter organizational structure. My personal purpose is to grow as a person and work in a place where my ideas are heard and where I can show my potential. I value an open, social, and diverse environment. That's why I'm actually leaning more towards a flat organization structure. Flatter because it minimizes the layer and the barriers between employees in terms of communication and collaboration. I would expect to work efficiently and at this kind of company because of the transparency that it creates.
Which companies would you approach after you graduate?
Because I have already done my internship, I am now focused on companies that I will approach after finishing my bachelor's degree in creative business. Personally, I have always struggled with making decisions, especially when it had a big influence on where I would go in life. But the 3 companies that I will approach when finishing my degree will be a university, either in the Netherlands or abroad, because I would love to work in a global and diverse environment where I can help and advise people. The second company I will approach is KPMG because of how massive it is. And it's so global and diverse, which is very important to me. And the last company I will approach is a flat structured organization. This is because I would want to try and accept a completely new challenge, even though it might not fit me. I would do well, but there will be some struggling. So after listening to my personal evaluation, I'm very curious to see what you guys all have to say about your personal evaluation, and we'll start with Alina. Can you describe your professional profile?
Sure, my core values are sustainability, constant development, and open-mindedness. As an individual, I have learned to apply these values to my work style. In the professional world, it is important for me to belong to a group of people with shared values. I believe that only that way a group of people can deliver meaningful work and make an impact. This describes the results of my PwC test, where I was placed in the green world. My prior experience as a freelance entrepreneur at Eurolingua Club has proven that I am suitable as a remote worker. These results were also shown by the remote worker test. However, after talking to Alexandra Lidnova from Yandex and investigating different organizational cultures, I have discovered that I would enjoy working in an office to be able to solve problems as a group with shared beliefs rather than an individual.
Okay. Can you describe how your strengths help you in your work performance?
Of course, due to my international experiences, I have developed solid communication and listening skills. This has helped me to develop an open mindset and a creative perspective on problem solving. As a team player, I consider my biggest strength to be adaptability and empathic disposition. I value continued learning and development opportunities.
Do you think you would be able to work abroad?
Yes, I think so. I have a great interest for different cultures, and I think that international experiences add up to personal enrichment. Since I chose this international industry, I think it is important to have as much as possible personal experience about the world, the current trends, mindsets of people, and cultural backgrounds. Because of this open mindset towards different cultures and countries, I don't really mind in which particular country to work. What does matter to me is that it should be for a small period of time, and I always want to come back to the Netherlands.
Can you elaborate more on your ideal organizational structure?
I think that my preferred organizational structure would be flat because I would be able to apply my personal ideas and to work close with my co-workers. I want to be surrounded by engaged and motivated team players. Furthermore, I think that Flatarkis would also be a great fit for my personality because sometimes I need some structure, which would be balanced by freedom.
Can you name companies you would like to work for and describe why?
My purpose in my professional career is to do as little harm for the planet as possible and to make as much as possible people aware of the impact they make. Therefore, I would like to work at the communication department for Greenpeace. Another organization I would like to work for is Lush. It is a company with a flat organizational structure, and I feel a strong emotional connection with that brand because of their values and beliefs. I feel encouraged to work for this brand at the communication department because I think that it would give me a lot of personal development and I would gain a lot of knowledge in terms of social responsibility and environment. Moreover, what is just as important is that I would work in a team with people with shared values and beliefs. However, from a small age, I wanted to work in the fashion industry. I always found that industry very fascinating. When I started to develop my main life values, I was dreaming of working in the fashion industry in order to create a social change and challenge ideas of body image and sexuality. I think that fashion shouldn't be defined by certain standards, but should be more inclusive and fun. Therefore, I would enjoy working for Vogue and to change the future of industry together with a great and hard-working team. Maybe it wouldn't be a great fit for my personality type, but I would like to try myself out in that world.
Thank you, Alina. We'll now move on to the next personal evaluation, which will be Mirta. Can you briefly describe your professional profile?
Of course. So, respect, sustainability, balance, and creativity are at the core of my life. By implementing those values into my work attitude, I find myself being capable of achieving many more of my goals. So, one of my goals is to gain as much knowledge as I can adopt through a flexible working style. Even though a test might show that I'm more of an office worker, I see myself working as either a remote worker or behind a desk. My working history has proven that I'm suited to do both. In addition, my work experience also gave me the opportunity to work individually as well as in teams. As I learned at Hike 1, being friendly towards one another is necessary to generate better outcomes. Altogether, social conscience and environmental awareness play a major role in my working environment, and as the results from my PwC tests show, my future workforce is also in the green world, where corporate responsibility is very crucial.
How would your strengths help you in your future working career, and where would it take place?
Well, I see my open mind, helpful attitude, and creative approach as my most distinctive strengths. Having an open mindset really gives me the opportunity to work in such diverse cultures. In combination with my helpful attitude, I would preferably lean towards either a flat or a holacratic organizational structure. The flat organization seems more task-focused to me, whereas the holacratic organization creates more freedom to express creativity, since you don't have a management that might prohibit you from developing certain ideas. Whether I will work abroad or in the Netherlands is something that I can't decide upon yet. For now, I will do my internship in the Netherlands, but who knows what the future might bring.
Can you elaborate more on your ideal organization?
Sure. In one sentence summarized, I would say my ideal organization is an international holacratic or flat organization that focuses on innovation, passion, and creativity in the Netherlands.
Since I'm quite young, I don't think I have my purpose at hand yet. My main goal in life right now is to be able to fulfill my potential. As I said before, by working flexible and not deciding on my fate, I will be working at organizations that allow me to establish my clear purpose. For the past years, I have been switching side jobs and I will continue to do so in the future to gather diverse experiences for my personal backpack.
Can you give any examples of specific companies you would like to work at?
Sure. From a young age, I've wanted to work at a non-profit organization. Worldwide Fund for Nature is a company that I've always supported in their goals and projects. When I was 12 years old, I already decided to take a creative path in my high school. So another company I would like to work at is a creative marketing company such as Daily Creations. During my college time, I did a lot of research into Nike and I got to know how creative and innovative the company is. Therefore, Nike is another company that I'd be interested in. However, since Nike is such an enormous and powerful company, I would have to gather a lot of courage to approach them. Whether these companies give me the opportunity to develop myself is something that I have to experience while working there.
Thank you, Meerte. We'll now listen to the personal evaluation of Imke. Please introduce yourself and your professional profile.
Well, I'm Imke van der Poel. I'm a second-year creative business student. I've had many jobs in my life as a cashier, a delivery driver, a waitress, and a recruiter. I've completed 2 personality tests. One of them was the PwC Workforce of the Future test, and the outcome of this test was yellow, meaning that I would like a future job that puts humans first. Company in the yellow world seek out greater meaning and relevance in what they do. I also did a test to see if I could work remotely rather than in the office, but as it turns out, I'm more of an office person. I need a collegial work environment filled with teamwork, consistency, sane workloads, and a clearly defined expectations. The results of both tests make sense to me.
Okay, what would you consider to be your strengths?
I'm creative, and wherever I will end up working, it should be a place that allows me to nurture and express this creativity. I'm also eager to learn, and I think that's a strength for sure. I'm collaborative and a team player, but I wouldn't like to be a leader, because most leaders stand alone. However, I do believe that it's important to have a leader, because guidance can be very helpful and motivating to me. I also think diversity is super important for my work environment. I think you can learn much more if you work together with people who have different insights.
What is important to you when it comes to corporate culture?
A client culture would definitely fit me. I think it's very important that when I work with other people, I feel a sense of belonging. A good team of colleagues makes every job tolerable. I think I prefer more of an informal culture where everyone talks to everyone and it's not so much pressure.
What organizational structure would you prefer to work in?
I think part of me would love to work in a flat organization, but then again, I think some guidance from a leader can be nice from time to time. That's why a combination between a hierarchy and a flat organization will be perfect for me. A flatarchy allows me to have a little bit of both structures. Flexibility is also important to me. I prefer a job that is more task-oriented instead of strict on the hours. The company should be focusing on globalization since I want to travel and be able to work in multiple countries.
What organizational structures have you worked in before?
Only hierarchical so far. I do like that it's structured, but I don't like the way that some people are lower than others and those who are don't have any influence whatsoever.
So, is there a preferred company you'd like to work in?
Actually, I've already found a company that fits me very well. For my internship abroad, I would like to go to Mauritius. This place alone is very diverse. It is a small island with many nationalities, and most people there are very open and respectful. I would like to work for a public relation and marketing communication agency called Odysseus. It's a small company, which I think is nice, because if you work together with a few people, you are more likely to create a bond with them. Other companies I'd like to work for are other flatarchy organizations, maybe for example LinkedIn, because when I researched it, I've learned a lot about this company and the work environment seems very nice. I just need a job that allows me to keep improving and growing. When I come back from an internship abroad, I want to have learned something new and developed a new skill.
Well, thank you, Imke, for your personal evaluation. The next one we're going to ask about their personal evaluation is Yao. Yao, could you describe your professional profile or yourself? Are you an individual worker or a team player?
Well, thank you. And personally, I found that I'm more prefer to understanding the needs of others, and providing the comfort to them. So, and well, I also kind of bit like take charge and be in control and share my views with others and influence people. But I'm not very good at the analytical part, which means that the analysis and the decide part is not very suitable for me. So I think maybe the remote work is not very suitable for me either. Well, actually, I more prefer to engage in an occupation which can let me have the direct touches with my customers. From the PwC Yellow World, it says that it's a world where humanness is highly valued, which I totally agree and want to join it as a part of it. I want to have the specific image with my customers for what and how I can work and create and decide it by my own self. For this, I think I more prefer to be an individual officer instead of suggestion from the PwC Yellow World, which suggests I should have a teamwork with others like this.
What kind of organizational structure do you prefer to work? Do you already have a dream company you want to work for?
Well, that is a good question. In my case, I'm interested in news media, and in this field, there's a lot of kinds of structures. And if I'm gonna work in my own country, I want to work in a flatter structure or holacratic organization company which has a similar background, cultural background. I mean, it gives me options for career and also can dig out what I can do in a deeper way. And my college study also includes various aspects which make me feel confident about these challenges. And I do have a dream company I want to work for is a wedding ring design company which called I Do in China. Their leader allows the designers and the market officers to directly communicate with their customers and design unique jewelry for them. The media department also focusing on collecting reflections and news to make press journals and try to have the different cooperation with different parts. For example, they have the cooperation with the hotel to design different brands for them, make them change the style. And this what they have done really create a new style and promotion the market which make it so popular in newlyweds. However, if I have to work for a big company which the people come from the different countries with different cultural backgrounds, I prefer to work in a hierarchical organization which can at least give me some clues about how should I do it and to reduce my stresses to join a strength team.
Thank you, Yao. Last but not least, we'll now talk about personal evaluation of Adri. Adri, based on both PwC and Are You a Remote Worker quiz, can you explain a brief of your professional profile?
Well, I see myself as the corporate strategist thinker that can adapt in creative environment motivated by talented people. With the hat in the corporate world, I value talents and high workforce on achieving the full capability of success. My previous experience on freelancing and in an international fashion company drives me to accomplish objective, attaining related subject matter expertise aligned with the current technological advancement. I seek for exposure to challenging responsibility and management skill even when working remotely.
What are your identified strengths in relation to each of the 4 organizational characteristics?
From the traditional hierarchical to remote working structure, I will find every opportunity to get things done in the perfect way I can achieve. With several different working experience obtained, it will be a new remarkable experience to explore different structure of any available organization. Diversity in an organization will be a stepping stone for me to continue learning on new sets of skills. Living in Netherlands for 2 years showed me the brief of how working environment amongst Europeans are much more broader and focusing on creative industry due to its demand in Europe. I also aware of my flexibility to quickly understand situations and country and immediate response for solution. I will still demand a high quality result by mean I look up to those who put their talents and full capabilities on working. I can be a great supporter and a team player in a team to achieve our main goals in a company. Working with skilled people motivates me on performing the best quality I can serve in a project, as nowadays most of the organization, especially in Europe, tends to practice flatteries. The structure shows how working style have evolved to provide flexibility yet enhancing performance of the workforce that fits me well.
Can you explain the key preferences for the type of organization that best matches your profile, including remote work and co-working space?
Well, based on the Blue World in PwC model, what attracts me in a corporate structured organization is how they look upon the influence their company can make from the size and quality of their workforce. Most of the corporate organizations are hierarchical, somehow with the demand of creative business, even corporate organizations trying to be as flexible as in a flat structured management. The result I get from the quiz by analyzing my choice of working experience and performances conclude that I am a hard charger who likes working alone, achieving perfection in my work, and the occasional all-nighter. This counts perfectly for the criteria of working remotely. Wherever I'm working remotely, the measure of success all depends on my own drive, ambition, goals, and performances. Working remotely will always open to diversity of people.
Okay, from what you have explained on the types of preferred organization, name me 3 companies that you will approach or interested with.
With a clear understanding of my own strengths and capabilities, I have 3 preferred choices of work placement I would like to apply. First is the Amsterdam Fashion Week. Amsterdam Fashion Week opens opportunity for a wider connection in the fashion industry, as well as knowing the vast scope of fashion field. Fashion events are somehow international, involving high-brand fashion companies bringing their nation and company's culture. My previous experience as an intern at one of the biggest international fashion companies in Southeast Asia, Fashion Valet, taught me on dealing in multinational level expertise. As the company itself consists of variety of cultures and background, working in a more major big fashion event company known worldwide will be my peak motivation. Working in an environment full with creative art designers and thinkers will motivate me to strive on greater achievement for myself. As in before, I only had a chance to work there for 3 months in a glorious company, and in some future I would love to engage in a worldwide non-fashion organization. Second is the Lamborghini company, which is Lamborghini provides professional and elite environment for the employees and clients. Their hierarchical structure somehow shows the efficiency of the organization to maintain their employees' loyalty towards their brand company. What drives me into aiming to work in this elite company is their brand opportunity and advertising. Their brand identity shows a strong image for those who are high achievers in their careers. And working in a very elite and outraging company like Lamborghini will be a fantastic drive to my corporate working style, as details on their exquisite supercar design align with my achieving perfection in my work. And last but not least, Movement. Movement is a creative fashion brand of watch that promoting energy lifestyle experience with their unique and simplistic design of watch. Their working environment simply shows how minimalistic yet professional they can be. For me, this is an exciting environment to work as they offer flagship working style and relationship with the employees. By following their Instagram, their company is strategy dedicated to building quality, affordable timepiece and based on the simple goals to change the way people think about fashion by delivering premium watches and accessories. For how much I love peace and working independently, I will then reject on the opportunity to work with this dream company.
Well, thank you, Adri. Thank you everyone for their personal evaluations. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast this week of The Future of Global Work. I'm your host, Naomi van Noort.
And I was your co-host, Alina Makova.
Tune in next week for more information about the future of global work, and I will thank you for listening. I'm thanking everyone who contributed to the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.